Hello everyone and welcome to Conan Exiles. Today I want to talk to you all about thrall taming, or friend making as we like to call it here on our channel, and hopefully by the end of today's video you'll have a better understanding of what it is, how you do it, and where you get people from, and what the benefits are of thrall taming or friend making. We will hopefully cover those in this video, so stick with us and we'll do a deep dive into thrall taming. So here we go then, we're going to break this down into 4 different subheadings, shall we say. So the first one is going to be what is thrall taming. Step 2 will be the requirement, so what we need to be able to do this. Step 3, how do we do this? And then step 4, the benefit of taming thralls or friends or followers, whatever you want to call them. This does also include pets, but we won't be covering that in this video. And then at the very end we'll do a very quick overview again of everything that we went through and give you some pointers on things to look out for on your thrall taker journey. So what is thrall taming? Well, thrall taming, or friend making as we like to call it, is one of the many features in Conan Exiles where you can use a truncheon or purple lotus orbs, which we'll come to later on in the video, to knock out or make unconscious human NPCs throughout the world. And throughout your journey in Conan Exiles you'll come across various different human NPCs, ranging from archers to fighters to entertainers and crafters, all from different tribal names and different tiers. So just for an example, you may find an exile down on New River, so that's all around this area. You'll find a mixture of exiles, but at the end here you'll also find some of the THRALL faction who are also in this area as well. Dogs of the desert, who are kind of all around this desert area as well, but also up in the den, and then lots of other factions which we'll cover shortly as you go further up the map. But the exiles and the THRALL are sort of the first 2 tribal sorts of people you'll come up against. Quite low level in HP and damage, but perfect little starter followers, if you will. Like I say, many various camps up and down the river, including various spawns for what is known as a 1 skull mini boss that are actually tameable, so you can actually knock them out as well. They are almost what you would probably class as a tier 4 or named fighter of the exile faction, so not terribly strong, but ideal as a great starter follower. Also we have a little cave here called Sinner's Refuge that you can visit, that again also has lots of useful people in there, which we'll cover in another video. But what you want to do is, there's kind of 2 steps to this. When you start your follower journey, you will need to be level 10 to unlock Thrall Taker, which to unlock this you want to go to your knowledge and then you scroll down until you find this one here, Thrall Taker, and as you see there you're at level 10 for the very first wheel, which is the lesser wheel of pain, or the lesser wheel of friendship as we like to call it, that you unlock, along with the basic truncheon, the basic bindings, and also the thrall pot, which is to do with feeding your thralls, but we're not too sure whether this is relevant now. But the main 3 things we're looking at is the wheel, the truncheon and the bindings. And then as you progress you can then unlock the wheel of pain or wheel of friendship, which is a 4 slot wheel. So instead of the single wheel that you learn first, you then have 4 spaces in this one, and you can see the level requirement there at the top right. And then at level 50 you can unlock the greater wheel of friendship, along with better bindings, a better truncheon, and this wheel, which we'll look at shortly as well, holds 8 people, so very helpful if you're doing a lot of friend making. So once you've unlocked this, you now also have a journey step that goes along with this as well. And if you go to your journey step system and you find this particular journey here, Thrall Taker, if you highlight this and follow these steps as it instructs you to do so, you can then unlock a reward at the end, which, as you can see on the top right there, is the purple lotus orb. And a purple lotus orb, again, I'll look into it a bit more later in this video, but basically a purple lotus orb, if you throw it on the ground near an NPC who is not moving, so like in September, for example, which I'll take you around later in this video, you can throw one of these down, and depending on the level of the NPC, it may take 1 or 2 or 3 possibly if it's a named NPC, and the purple cloud will eventually take down their unconscious or torpidity bar, as it's called, meaning it will knock them unconscious. You can then put them onto your bindings, whichever you have, pull them back to your base and pop them on the Wheel of Friendship. And the beauty of these is when you throw them down, anyone that is a passive NPC, so as you'll see in Seppa Maru, nobody else will aggro around you, whereas if you hit them with the truncheon, then everybody nearby will aggro and start attacking you. So this is the very first wheel that you will unlock. As you can see, very basic. And this is the lesser wheel of pain or lesser wheel of friendship, and as you can see we have someone on there. And then if I interact with it, even though it has this huge inventory, you can see there is only one icon on there, because there is only essentially one bar for one NPC to be on here. Where it says about the thrall at the top there, you can add a Taskmaster, which we'll come to shortly. And again, depending on the tier of Taskmaster, depends on the efficiency of how much quicker these new friends will train or tame up on the wheel. The better the Taskmaster, the more efficient it will be. And to get this wheel going, as you can see we have a crafting section at the bottom right there. You will need to add gruel to the wheel for this to be able to move, because if I go onto it and try and press play, nothing happens. And also again, depending on the tier of NPC that you have in here, the lower the level, the quicker they will tame up. So 1 and 2 are pretty quick. Level 3s will take slightly longer, and named people will take longer still. Where if you put a Taskmaster on the wheel, that will reduce this time, and if you especially use a named Taskmaster, this will significantly lower the time it takes to train an NPC. And I believe, if the figures are correct, that if you have a named Taskmaster on your wheel and you were to put a Sumerian Berserker in the wheel, for example, with a named Taskmaster they should take around about 20 minutes to tame, and without a Taskmaster around about an hour, so 60 minutes. Whereas in previous updates, if you put a Berserker in the wheel, you had to wait almost 24 hours before they were even ready. Whereas it's much quicker now with changes that they've made to the game. Also, if you play on community servers, some servers have the time lowered as well to speed things up, so that can also help. But as I say, we would need gruel to get this person going, which is this here. If you keep it in a preservation box, if you have one, this will keep it fresh and stop it going off. And to make gruel, you just need a campfire with some wood or a fuel of some sort to work, and you just place ordinary seeds and plant fibre in your campfire, and this will make gruel. So then what you would do is take the gruel to your wheel, add it into your wheel. Now if I hit play, as you will see, the wheel will start moving, and you'll see the person in the bottom left queue there for crafting, and they'll literally turn that wheel now until they're fully tamed or fully trained up. So once that bar is full at the bottom right, when they disappear out of that bottom right menu, that will mean that they are fully tamed, so they are now your friend. So we'll leave that one working away. So at first, if you found a couple of people, you would potentially need to put another one of these wheels down, and they typically comfortably take up a 3x3 foundation, so 3 this way, 3 backwards, so a 9 square. would pretty much put them on. I do recommend, especially if you play on official servers, that you put things on foundations, because the game does have decay timers. So let's just say you've progressed a little bit now and you're at the higher level where you can unlock the next wheel. That is this wheel here. And once again you can see we have a fighter in here that is a slightly different level. But we also have an entertainer. Now just because there are 2 people in here, that doesn't mean it will take longer to train them, or that it will be any quicker. So even if we had 4 people in here, it will still take the same length of time. The only thing other than having or not having a Taskmaster in here, the timescale would be the same. The only difference is that if you had a tier 2 dancer and a tier 3 fighter, for example, the tier 3 fighter would potentially take longer than the tier 2 entertainer, because they are a slightly higher level, so they take slightly longer to tame. And then it gets really interesting once you get to the highest level, because you can unlock this ridiculously big wheel here, that if you go into Sepamaru at the prison, you'll also see one of these. And this can hold up to 8 NPCs, so there's 4 of these big arms, and it can take 2 NPCs on each arm. Just got 2 different people in here again just to show you. So again, a fighter, this time another station person, if you'd like to call them that, but this is a Yogg priest, so this is for your altars. And again, depending on the tier that they are, would depend on how quickly or slowly they train up. So a named priest would essentially take longer than a regular priest to level up. So if this was a low level fighter, again, just because they're first in the queue doesn't mean that they would tame up first. It just means because their level is lower than the priest, that the person who is a lower level would tame first. Once again, you put gruel in here. If you're playing on official servers, you want to make sure you've got plenty of stacks of gruel in here, so that it keeps the wheel going for the length of time it needs to tame people up. And as you can see there, we have a Taskmaster in here. This is one of the female named Taskmasters that you can get. And when you place them in the slot, depending on the wheel, they'll stand in a certain place. So this one would stand here. This one has a slightly different slot, which would be round about either this side or this side, just at these little steps here. And this one would also stand to the side of this one. As you can see, this one's now finished. So if I just come onto here and I borrow that gruel from there and we pop it onto our bigger wheel, once again we hit play, and as you can see, that wheel goes around just the same. We could put another 2 people on here if we wanted to, but we're not going to do that. And as you can see, depending on the level that they are, depends on the time scale for them to tame up also. So just to show you, we've got our friend here who is now tamed. So you can, if you're on console like me, place them onto your hot wheel and then look for a space that you've got, place them in the world. Just gonna tell if they're attacking nothing, so she doesn't aggro because of where we are. But as you can see there, got ourselves a nice little Defari Fighter 3. Just to give you an idea, that's the HP and the stats that they can come with. And depending again on the faction, for example, a tier 3 fighter in the Relic Hunter faction would have higher HP and higher damage than this one. But these would not be too bad as starter followers as well, certainly for the New River area and this lower part of the map. You wouldn't want to be taking them excuse me, too far up here, or certainly not into the unnamed city or over this side, or certainly not into the Highlands. They're more for this lower region of the map, but with a good weapon and good armour, they would definitely be a good starting follower. So just to summarise on that then, you have 3 wheels, so a single follower wheel, 4 person and an 8 person. Once again, as you can see, they've now finished. So again, just going to take the gruel from there just so we can show you this one. I do have things sped up on here slightly, so that's why they did slightly quicker. But again, if we activate this, and you watch the progression bars at the bottom, you can see how they're moving even slightly quicker still, not only because of the boosted time but because of the Taskmaster that is in there. And Taskmasters are available all around the map, and there are at least 4 Taskmaster spawns that are guaranteed Taskmaster spawns in Sepramaru. So I'll show you those at the end of this video as well, where you can get this particular one and possibly another one who's over here, and also one of these two that are also Taskmasters but wearing a different outfit. We'll discuss that shortly. So that is basically what thrall taming is all about. So we unlock things, we've got the wheel, we've learnt how to build that, we've placed it down, but what do we now need to go and capture those said people to put them in the wheel? So as I say, when you're going out about in the world and you're going out to specifically tame followers, at your low level you'll unlock the basic truncheon, which doesn't do health damage. Most of these only do 1 health damage if any, but they mainly do concussive damage. So this is the very basic truncheon, which is okay for very low level people. It's not ideal later in game, but it's okay at first. You can also then unlock this one, which is slightly better again, and then the slightly higher level once again, even better still, but you just got to watch with certain ones that you don't do too much of a heavy hit on, especially low level NPCs, because you will actually kill them, believe it or not. And when you get towards end game, there are 2/3, well no, probably just 2 truncheons that you can get that are legendaries. But out of the 2, I'm saying 2 because one is still a knockout tool, but it's not as good as the other, so we'll come to us in a second. But also you can unlock this one at the higher level, and again at the higher level these 4 you can craft on your torturer's work table, which I'll show you shortly. But the basic truncheon you craft in your own character inventory along with the fibre bindings. But the 2 truncheons in question that are certainly the best one in the game and a second best is this one, which is called Cess Truncheon, which you get from the very first mini boss in the wine cellar dungeon. He does hit quite hard, so just be careful, but he has a chance to drop this, and this in a lot of people's opinions is the best knockout truncheon in the game. This one's called Love Tap, which is a legendary mace truncheon, again if you will, which has concussive damage. Some people like it, some people loathe it. It's okay, but arguably most people would tell you if you can get Cess Truncheon, then definitely stick with Cess Truncheon even over all the others at end game. And if you give this a really good strong follower that you have with some good high health and decent damage, they won't damage this when they use it because they don't do durability damage to weapons or armor. To go along with your truncheon, you're going to need something to transport the person back to your base and to your wheel. So as I say, you've got the fibre bindings, which you craft on your person with fibre. You then get the rawhide and leather bindings, which are side by side crafted on the torturer's workbench once again. And also we do have special bindings that you can get as well, and also this one, the chain bindings, which is also crafted on your torturer's work table, and you will require a taskmaster on that table to be able to do it, preferably a named taskmaster. They'll give you the ability to craft the chain bindings. So you would use your truncheon, knock somebody out, and then attach them to the rope. So I'll pop over to the summoning place in just a second and show you how that works, but they are the only 2 things you would need. So then when you return to base, obviously you need your wheel and your gruel out of your fridge or your preservation box, or off your campfire if you've got that ready. So having got our truncheon and having got our rope, obviously I am cloaked and in god mode for this, so these people won't aggro, but just for the purposes of demonstration. these guys will aggro, excuse me, will aggro and will normally fight you. Obviously they're not going to fight me with me being cloaked, but they would normally fight you, the people in these places. And what you want to do as you can see, some are already dead, but if you come in here there will normally be lots of people around. So these will all aggro in here, so you've got to be very, very careful, but in Sepa Marie I'll show you the difference. So if you have your truncheon, she took a couple of hits, we pop our rope on, aim your cursor over the person, press your interact button, so for me that's square. As you can see they're now on the rope, and I missed the stairs but never mind. So then you would drag them on your rope, or in my case this is the chain bindings, which are the most durable item of all your bindings that you could use. Don't mind the pyramid, that's just a display piece that's on our Conan server on PlayStation 5, hence why that's coming up on the screen. But yeah, you come back to your base and then take them to whichever wheel you have. So let's just say, for argument's sake, this one. Now even if you have people in your wheel that are already converted, you can just start the wheel again and it will purely convert the one that you just placed in, provided that once you're up to 8 people in there, if there are 8 NPCs converted in there, it won't allow you to place another one in, so you will have to remove them. But that is how you tame people and the equipment that you would need. So before we take a look at where we can get some named people from, specifically in this video taskmasters, or people that are known as a taskmaster that are a tier 4 but their title is driver, because they are slightly different in what they can do and the clothing that they're wearing, as you can see from the ones behind me. And I've got a few of these different stations out just to display some different people to you. The ones on the right of the screen are named people. Although they are found or classed as taskmasters, they are slightly different in their title, so under their name it would potentially say driver, like the young lady on the end there to the far right. She can be found in Sepa Marie. I'll show you one of the locations where she can be found. And then the others here on these benches behind are again other taskmasters that you'll find throughout the world, and these can scale again from a level 1, level 2, level 3. And then also they have some other named taskmasters that aren't necessarily tier 4, but the way the naming works with these is you may find yourself a taskmaster and you will see possibly an apprentice taskmaster, a journeyman taskmaster, and a master taskmaster, or a named taskmaster. Try saying that quickly when you've had a few. And basically the way the order will work in their sort of tier level would be the apprentice taskmaster is the lowest, the journeyman is the slightly better one, and then the master is the better of the 3, but then ideally speaking the named taskmaster is better still. And the benefits of having a taskmaster are 2 big benefits. One, you can use one on your torturer's work table to give you the ability to craft chain bindings and other bits and pieces, and the other, as we saw earlier, is to have them on your wheel of friendship to help speed up the taming process. So the ones on the wheel are purely for the taming process, and they go in the slot as you can see there, and each time you tame somebody up they will just help lower the time it takes to tame different people. Remember again, the higher tier the taskmaster, the better the reduction in speed that you'll get, and of course they can be both male and female. And most taskmasters, other than the specialty ones as I'm going to call them, you'll typically see them wearing this sort of armour, the Hyperborean armour, as you can see there, just as these are here. This guy is quite well known around the map, Leo the Monster, so he's a tier 4, and as you can see there on the right hand side, that shows us the truncheons and bindings that we can craft. Excuse me, but then the top option there is the chain bindings, which take a material to make, and as you can see there, it'll tell you at the bottom what it takes, and having him in there will allow you, or her, will allow you to craft those particular bindings. So then, as we say with the torture work table, that will allow us to craft those particular bindings, and it doesn't matter which named Taskmaster you have in here, but you could have this one for example, and this gentleman is a guaranteed spawn up at the Mounds of the Dead in one of the barrows up there, if you want to call them that, or the little mounds or huts, whatever you want to call them. He's a guaranteed spawn. I'll show you at the end of this video where he is. He will always be there, so he's a pretty good one to go and get guaranteed named. And again, as I say, this young lady, she can be got from Seppa Maru. And then these two are specialty ones again. You wouldn't typically put these on your wheel if you get them, and when you see them in the world they will be wearing this clothing. That's that one there, so you can see what he's called. Again, giving the chain binding benefit. And also this one, she has been got from Seppa Maru before, I've seen her in there. And there's two different ways to distinguish who these are. One we've already mentioned, but I'll mention it again once we get into Seppa Maru. But these are your specialty people, as you can see there, where she has the hammer symbol on her icon, which would mean anything you craft with her will give you more durability. So they are your different Taskmasters, your regular Taskmasters with their normal armour or clothing, if you want to call it that, and then your specialty Taskmasters to look out for on your journey. If you find one of these named ones, definitely grab them for your table. You can obviously use the regular ones on there if you only have them at first. It's the same difference, only difference being that they are just in different clothing and a different person, whereas these are slightly different and slightly rarer sometimes to get, but they are the main ones to keep an eye out for. And lots of locations all around the map for Taskmasters, and as I say, at least 4 guaranteed spaces in Seppa Maru, possibly more, but also a guaranteed named Taskmaster, who's the gentleman on the end there, up at the Mounds of the Dead. Well, so here we are up at the Mounds of the Dead, and as you can see, the gentleman stood right next to me there. That's our named Taskmaster, and as I say, he is a guaranteed spawn in this spot. He will always be here unless somebody else has just been and killed him for the specific item that he holds, which is part of the Pride of Aesir armor set, or if somebody else has just been on the server, if you play on a server and tamed him, check back a little later on and he will probably be back. So just so you know where we are on the map, as I said, we are here at the Mounds of the Dead. This is all the main area here. You've got this little river area where the Sumerian Berserker can be, but we're just over here on the far sort of eastern side, up in this little area. There are Relic Hunter Raiders in here as well, so you'll have to deal with these guys as well. But he always spawns right here in the middle of this one. Right, excuse the noise in the background, we're just up here at the prison, but one of the events, I think it's this Storm Guard event, or Stormzik, whatever it's called, event has just actually spawned here at Seppa Maru, so one of the Taskmaster locations isn't showing, but I can take you to that and show you the exact spot where they would spawn. However, in the prison, so if you're up here on the west wall, the west side of Seppa Maru, on the far west of the map, you have a guaranteed Taskmaster spawn here, and it can be any of the levels once again, and male or female, along with a couple of prisoners who did used to be okay fighters, but to be quite honest are pretty weak now, so I won't bother with those. But this is one guaranteed Taskmaster spot, and how you know you're at the prison is by the huge wheel in the middle, and then all the guards are on the outside. Nobody in here will attack you unless you attack them first, so if you hit somebody on the head with a truncheon, all of these guys in here will attack you including the Taskmaster. So as you can see there, that's another one, and that is a female this time. So she'd be stood there, he or she would be stood there. In this case it's a male and a female. 2 guaranteed Taskmasters, that's what they will always be. And another couple of prisoners, like I say, friendly area unless you attack them, then all of this prison will be on you, and believe me, if these attack you, if you're not well geared, you'll have a big problem on your hands. So then if we come back around, I'll do the little run just so that you can kind of see, if you're new to this, exactly where you need to be. But if you follow this back around as if you were heading back towards the exit for the silver mine, you would come along here. As you can see, that's the event just there that happens to have spawned, so it's stopped all the regular spawns here from happening. But your next Taskmaster spawn, ignore these guys walking around because they wouldn't be here. You would have a fighter stood here and a fighter stood here, and then you would have a Taskmaster usually looking at this doorway and shaking their fist or cheering or something, but they will normally always be stood right here. So you can just see where I am there on the map. These guys won't normally be here, like I said, this is because an event just happens to have spawned, but right here. And if you need to know for reference where it is, you've got your 3 alchemists stood around here, and it's just over there from where they would be. So that's your 3rd guaranteed Taskmaster spawn. Normally there's lots of NPC spawns all around here as well, but as I say, because of the event dropping in, the other regular spawns have all disappeared. But then if you make your way out of this gate here, as if you were heading out towards the silver mine, come up to your left, there are 3 people here again, all passive unless attacked. You have another guaranteed Taskmaster spawn that can be any of the levels once again, including apprentice, journeyman and master, and even named if you get lucky. But this is another guaranteed spot right at this door where you come to leave Sepamaru for the silver mine, or if you're heading off to the unnamed city. And then just very quickly, as I did say at the beginning of the video, I would mention this spot here, which is typically a carpenter spot, can be one of the spawn locations for the named driver, I want to call them, or Taskmaster, as you saw the 2 back at the beginning. After 1,000 cuts, I believe, can spawn here, or I could be wrong on that one. But the other one, the female, I have seen her spawn here. She can be stood here or even here, but typically I've seen them on this side, and they'll be pretty much wearing what these guys are wearing and what you saw them wearing at the beginning. But 2 ways to distinguish that it's them is, one, that their health bar will have a line around the outside, so a white outline. That's how you'll know it's a named person, and obviously you'll see their name of whatever they're called. But the other distinguishing fact is that they are a lot taller than these people. So any regular NPCs that you see around here are all this sort of height, the normal height. But if you get one of those drivers or somebody like that, they will be a heck of a lot taller. So even my character stood up with these. They are even taller than my character if there's one here. So this little carpenter spot just here, sort of across from the blacksmith, and Conan's bar is just down there, and up there is also another couple of blacksmith spawns and a guaranteed armor spawn. We'll cover that in a future video, but that is where you can have one of the areas where you can potentially get one of those special Taskmasters from. There are lots of other locations around the map where they can spawn as well, but this is typically one of the spots where I've seen them spawn. So here's a perfect example of a location that we could use if you're after a set priest, for example. This is the temple quarter in Sepamaru, and if you come here you have 2 priest spawns at little tent just up there, and you have 3 guaranteed ones here. You have a chance of getting a named one, and when I say named, they all appear as named, so a set priest or a set high priest. But you can also get male and female called Hoshi the Fang, which is typically your proper named priest. And if I come out of creative mode, as you can just see there, then none of these guys would attack unless I attack them. So if I take a purple lotus orb and I throw it down in the middle here, As you can see, it creates a purple cloud, and look how that little bar above their health just dropped so quickly. This guy's taking a little bit longer because he's slightly out of the gas, but as you can see, he dropped down as well, so all three are asleep. That person over there didn't aggro, nobody over there aggroed, nobody to the side of that building's come over, and all three are now unconscious, so you can quite easily pop them on your rope. I'm just detaching it again because I don't need them, but just to show you. There, that person would have come running over, but as you can see, knocked out, nice and quick, nice and easy, and no disturbances whatsoever. And as you can see again, two more here, and this would work. There is a ghost that spawns here because there's a little book that you can read just there if you're interested in that sort of thing as well. But as you see, two priests again, one here and one here, and your priest, depending on which religion it is, they both have both male and female, so do keep an eye out for these. But this is a really good spot for set priests if you're after these. All the other religions have priests all in different locations, but this is typically the garments that the set priests will be wearing, so that's where you can find them. And pretty much everyone in Sepa Maru is what we call passive, as you can see, so nobody's attacking me because this is a very, very safe area. Apart from if we were to go down here, also on the left here there is a guaranteed bearer spawn. You can see them there, they'll walk up and down. But if I go into that area down there, those guys in the medium armor, they are the bandits. There's also another area back this other way. Now, as you can see, they've just aggroed, so I'm quickly just going to jump back into creative just so that they don't aggro. But if they spot you, they will aggro on you, and as I say, there are some just out of the other gate on your way back to the other area of Sepa Maru. Then just a quick side note on the equipment side of things, if you are after Cess Truncheon, you want to come around behind Conan's bar, as you can see where I am just here. I'll look at this doorway, and then you interact with this door here, and you'll teleport inside. This is a dungeon, but you don't have to do this full dungeon. Sorry for the darkness, but as you come in here, you'll see this guy stood here. Obviously it shows he's a boss, and he's only a one skull. He does hit pretty hard, so just be careful. But if you've got a weapon of some sort on you, you can pretty much wipe him out pretty quick. The two relicums in there shouldn't aggro. And then if you check his inventory, you may have a chance of getting Cess Truncheon. As you can see, he didn't drop it for me this time, so it isn't a guaranteed drop, but this is who you need to kill to get his Truncheon, which is that one there, Cess Truncheon. He has a chance to drop it, so if you're playing on a server or even single player, come in, kill him, see if you can get it. If not, come back a bit later and maybe you'll have a bit better luck. So there you have it, guys. That is pretty much everything you need to know about thrall taming. Just one little extra bonus bit. The little cage thing you can see behind me just here is another friend taming option that you can get. This was available a little while back in the bazaar. It may roll around again, so do keep an eye out for it if you want to purchase it. It does only hold one person. You can't, well, it does say you can use a Taskmaster on it, but typically I wouldn't really bother. But again, you need to put some gruel or something in there, and it will put one person in it, and it will turn them into one of your followers. But typically these are very rarely used unless you just happen to take the materials with you to build one when you're out and about. Typically people will tend to use the smaller wheel or the bigger wheel, and then keep their big wheel of friendship in their base. So that pretty much covers everything to do with thrall taming. So just to recap, once you hit level 10, you can unlock the Thrall Taker journey, and now with the new journey steps, do recommend that you also activate your Thrall Taker journey so that you can unlock the purple orbs. And then what you want to do is also make sure that you follow each step as it says, so that you can correctly unlock each part of that journey. and then at the end of that journey you'll obviously unlock the purple lotus orbs, which you saw a little bit earlier. That if you go into an area where there is no aggro and you throw down one of these orbs, nobody will aggro, and you can knock somebody out without causing any issues for yourself and make friend taming a lot easier, especially if it's a tier 4 person. It's a little bit more tricky with a berserker because they do walk around and they will aggro on you, or people up at certainly Mounds of the Dead, they will aggro to you. The only real safe area that you're pretty much safe to do this in would be Seppa Maru, where you're not going to get any aggro unless you bop somebody over the head with a truncheon, of course. And it's not only you that has to do this, you can get your follower to do it if they've got decent HP, good armor and a decent bit of strength. And another little helpful tip, if you can, when you're doing your attributes, is to at least have the first perk in authority, just to give you an extra 10% bonus on your concussive damage when you are knocking somebody out. So even if you don't have a follower yet, try and at least get to the first perk in that, just to give you a little boost, because sometimes with the basic truncheons on low level NPCs you'll do more health damage than you will actually knocking them out, and the last thing you want to do is just be killing everybody because you're so strong that you're just smashing them over the head and killing them rather than knocking them out. So that is just about it for this one. Thank you so much everybody for joining me. I hope you found this one helpful. I hope you found it interesting. More to the point, I hope you found it useful. If you did, do me a huge favour and hit that like button. Let's get this video pushed out to many people. Leave your comments and questions down below, and if I can answer them, I'll do my best to do so. Why not subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss the next upload. Once again, thank you for watching and happy taming.